All right, welcome to the Rocket Launcher Podcast. This is episode 72, 72 times. And I am your host, Supreme King. Joined with me, as always, is my co-host, and his name is...
It's your guy Omazes.
Yes, man, it is an exciting time of the year. It's not Christmas yet, but it's like the Christmas time for gamers almost, because in a couple of weeks, you're going to have Black Friday. From my own research and what I've been doing for many years now, Black Friday, typically you get way better deals than Christmas. So if anything, now is the time to really put your money towards it. I'm going to be probably spending a little bit more than normal because... it might be considered bad news. Unfortunately, I think this might be our last Black Friday where we see some epic deals for physical media. I think by the time we get to next year, a lot of the physical media is not going to be there. So I'm going to spend a little bit extra on the physical games that I do want. And then I'm going to be buying a bunch of indie stuff off Steam and Epic, right? But yeah, man, how you doing? How you doing today, man? How's everything?
I'm chilling. Happy, I guess, by the time people hear this, belated Veterans Day to our veterans out there.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I'm excited for these deals too. Even though majority of the games I want ain't even gonna be on sale, but that's fine.
Yeah, there's a couple of them that I don't think is gonna be on sale, but I am going to be making a Black Friday-ish video, just saying here's a couple games that I'm looking to get. I have to keep changing because some of the games I've already gotten early, like Gotham Knights. We were just talking about Gotham Knights right before we got on air. I did just get that one. I got that one earlier. I think almost a month ago, I got Callisto Protocol. Callisto Protocol was going to be like my number one Black Friday game. But some of these games were just going on sale early. I was just scooping them up early. So my Black Friday videos could probably go look a little weird because some of the games are not really like new. Some of them, well, not old, but like they're like maybe a year or two old, maybe something like that. But they're going to be like all over the place. They're not going to have like a theme at all. It's going to be like just completely different games. But yeah, look out for that. I'm going to try to get that done this week because you got to get it done before Black Friday, right? Ain't no way you're releasing that afterwards. But yeah, big deals. I'm excited about it. I want to address one thing that I think is kind of funny and is unintentional, but I think the last 4 or 5 podcasts may have come off a little negative. not like it's your fault or my fault exactly, but it's just like the news has been so negative in certain incidents, and that's like I know that's probably kind of hard to listen to if you're just negative all the time. It's like I don't want to be negative. But unfortunately, I think we still got some more negative news. Unfortunately, I think we do got more negative news that I don't know if we can start with it. Maybe we'll go. Let's go through PlayStation first.
Here's a quick positive.
Sure.
On Monday, they'll be announced which games are up for Game of the Year.
Oh, this upcoming Monday.
Yeah.
So we finally can. I guess we could run down what we think is going to be there, because I still think I think there's still going to be one game that's an exclusive per system. I think that's still going to happen. I think that's more of a PR thing, but I think Spiderman is going to be there. I think Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is going to be there, and I think Starfield is going to be there, simply because they're representing each system, right? The other ones I think is going to be Hogwarts Legacy. And then I think there's a lot of people giving Alan Wake 2 some praise, but I think the horror game that's going to make it there is going to be Resident Evil 4, the remake. I don't think it's going to be Alan Wake 2, but so Hogwarts and Resident Evil 4, and then I think the 6th game is going to be Baldur's Gate. I think that's Baldur's Gate 3. I think that's the one that they're going to go with. Obviously, that means 4 or 5 other games are probably going to get snubbed. It is what it is. Maybe that's not 100% correct. Maybe Super Mario Wonder might show up. Maybe you might see, some other game that I can't think of right now. But I think those are the top like 5 or 6, basically. Yeah.
What I think the 6 are: so Baldur's Gate 3, Hogwarts Legacy, Starfield, Spider-Man 2, Tears of the Kingdom, and Super Mario Wonder. Okay. And I do feel like Sea of Stars should get up there, but they just won an award as well for best indie game from one of the other like game show things. I also think Remnant 2 personally should be up there, but it's
at least get nominated somewhere. Category. Yeah,
it's gonna get nominated somewhere, probably for like action game, and probably of course, like it's with the 6 that I said, that leaves out Dead Space and Resident Evil 4. And some people have been saying Final Fantasy 16, but nope, those are my 6.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So that's something that we'll definitely have as a talking point next week for sure, the official ones, because I think we go back to this every other couple weeks, which ones is going to be there. It's not like a one-on-one battle like how I kind of made it out to be with that one video, but it's like it's almost a Royal Rumble. It's almost like everything's gonna be there.
They all deserve it too. I gotta dress up real quick because I just saw it on the screen.
Okay.
So one of the footage that I have like ready to upload is this exact scene from my perspective, where you were like emoting and dancing on the screen. Yeah. I have it from my perspective as well. I had to step away. That's why we were just kind of standing there for a while. And then when I got back, he was like emoting, and I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. I have that video.
Yeah, that joke was funny. I think we probably can address Destiny real quick, or not necessarily Destiny itself, but the parent company behind it, Bungie. We had talked about them already having like layoffs and stuff, but apparently now Ubisoft has joined them with like 124 employees, I guess, was laid off from Ubisoft. And on top of that, I think the industry as a whole, it looks like it's over 6,000 game developers who have been laid off in general. Yeah. You see, I did it again, right? I'm not trying to be negative. It's just we just kind of like address certain things, and I'm gonna try to find a positive out of it, because it's like once you go down, there's the only way you go up, right? So like I'm pretty sure for a lot of these guys, they'll be able to find, other work in other areas, because where one team is probably, downsizing, another team is probably upsizing, because I just saw a news thing that's not really related to anything I wrote down, but apparently Sega wants to like create a big game. They're calling it like one of the biggest ones they've ever created, because their budget is going to be something like 800 million. Which is kind of crazy. I don't know how true that story is. It's just developing. But maybe some of these people who was laid off from all these other places can go there. Probably not a full 6,000. But times is kind of rough for the gaming division. But yeah.
This will tie into what I gotta say about like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 as well. But all of this is to kind of say that like, I don't want people to lose their job. Like, I don't want to, like, that sucks that people lose their job. I wouldn't even know if people lost mine. But, like, for gaming, this sort of is going to have to, unfortunately, I think, need to happen. I've been thinking about it, where things are just going to need to crash in order for it to get
build back up. Okay. So, once you hit rock bottom, you come back up, basically.
Yeah, and I guess I could tie this into Modern Warfare 3. So, the game was not well received. Like upon release, all the fight that we've done for Modern Warfare 3, and it is not well received. One of the things that bothers me, a lot of people said that it was like a $70 DLC, that it should have been DLC for Modern Warfare 2, and the story mode only takes about 3 hours to beat.
I heard about that. It's interesting though, because even though it's more of a like mediocrity of a Call of Duty game compared to other ones, its momentum is like not dropping though. That's the crazy part, because it's like one of those things where the suits win, even though like the gamers may have not won or the developers didn't win, but the suits are going to keep winning in this case, because apparently, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 apparently is a bestseller on almost every system except Switch right now.
Yep.
And
so
it's also
that... Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's also like one of the top streamed games on Twitch too at the current moment. It's just it's a machine. Like Call of Duty in general is a machine. That's why everybody was fighting over it.
Call of Duty I think is always going to be a top streamer because it's easy to watch.
Yeah.
I do unfortunately think that how bad this one is, not hopefully, but it's probably going to affect the next one, right? Especially if it's maybe not. It probably doesn't, because like Madden gets bad rep and then everybody buys the next one anyways.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, because I think Call of Duty, I think it was Cold War right before the other one, right before the other Modern Warfare. That one was also considered bad, but then it was also the top seller that year. And then
I thought Cold War is free.
No. Warzone is free.
Warzone
is free. Cold War was like their actual game that you have to pay for. And that's another thing too that's interesting with Call of Duty, because they have the free multiplayer there, which is Warzone. Yeah. But then at the same time, they still come out with a game every year.
Which is why it's like that should be the thing that kills the story. Like, just the story mode should be the thing. Like, that's the reason you get that one. And to have it only be like 3 hours long, boring, as most people said. And on top of that, I don't know if you heard, but like for early access for like the game, when they put it in to play, it was telling people they needed to put in Modern Warfare 2 disc in order to play, which almost confirms that it should have been it was supposed to be a DLC, because it was like, where's the real game? And they had to like send out a patch and be like, this is the real game. So
that was kind of wow. When I saw that, I was like, wow.
But it's just as bad as people using the photo mode in Madden 23 and seeing Madden 2020 like tables and everything in the background, showing that they didn't do anything different.
Yeah.
But it's like between that, FIFA doing the same thing, where like especially the legacy version on the Switch has been the 2019 or 2018 version repainted with a new menu, and they just straight up said it. There's no difference between the last one other than players moved around and a new menu color. That's the only difference. Other than that, it's the exact same game. Between that, things coming out broken. I feel like a lot of this stuff has been let's please the investors and everything, and all of it needs to just like pretty much crash and burn, where gamers have to be like, enough, I'm not getting it, we're done. And then investors go, well, this isn't more like profitable, we're leaving. And then you can get passion stuff like Baldur's Gate 3. You get people without investors going like, I just want to make this solid game that people are going to enjoy. Or you get more of the cases where they said for Super Mario Wonder, where there wasn't like a timetable that it needed to be completed. It was just like, when you're ready to release this game and it's fully good and you can do what you want in it, we'll release it then. You'll get back to that. It has to get the investors out of it, really, because they don't care about the game and they just want their money back. And that's why it's like, well, live service, and it's just like, live service is failing, but Sony's doubling down and saying we're sticking to at least 6 of them. And it's ruining stuff. Yeah, it's just ruining it.
I think we'll get to Sony in a second, but I think I don't know if it's really Call of Duty's fault. It's probably more of the industry, but what you were saying, like it has to crash, I don't think that's gonna happen into probably the next generation, because one thing that we see is it technically, like, games do crash, and it does crash under one condition, and that's if it's multi-plat. Unfortunately, when you start putting a game under the like headliner of it being an exclusive, you're gonna have basically a fanboy defend no matter what in certain cases, and that's when certain games can be bad, and we're just gonna start overlooking it. We're gonna overlook the bad part and just allow the companies to kind of just like get away with certain things, and until you can get the fanboy to stop supporting no matter what and only support when it is quality and actually worth it, the companies are going to be able to just come out whatever they want. Call of Duty is probably one of the exceptions because it's one of the top games where I was saying like a third party game cannot sustain itself a little bit, where Call of Duty, well, now it's not really it's in a limbo a little bit because it's still going to be multiplayer for like 10 years, but it's also at the same time now considered a first party studio game. So maybe you could say it leans in both cases, but it's still one of those types of games where quite literally is going to be able to get away with it. Like Call of Duty is going to get away with it. It's already kind of getting away with it because it's being streamed everywhere. People are still buying it because it's Call of Duty. They don't care. There's a whole level of people who don't care about the multiplayer anyway. It's funny because it was an issue with Battlefield, but I don't know if it's that much of an issue with Call of Duty just from what I was seeing, because people are just buying this thing. This thing is still going to probably be the number one seller for November. But the industry probably does need a shift. I think we probably can put this topic in this a little bit, which is probably going to get me in trouble. But there was a mention coming from, I think, all the companies except for Nintendo. I don't think I've seen this with Nintendo, but the other companies are making a push for AI to help with development. And I'm almost... See, that's the thing. And to me, I would normally say that as well, but I'm almost kind of okay with this now, which probably sounds bad, right? But my reason for it is, well, if we can't meet a certain deadline every single time, I know it's probably sound crazy, but it's just like, if you could hear me out from the standpoint of a consumer, it's like how many of the games, just like what you were saying before, that will come out buggy and broken are we going to get? You know, if you're really telling me that the developer can't do it, but the AI can, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it. Now, if we get a situation where all of a sudden the AI can't do it either, then it's like, all right. But if we could stop the whole like needing of a day one patch, and maybe you get a patch like every 6 months instead of every 2-3 days or something, it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'll consider it. It ain't got to be every game, but I would consider it a little bit.
I see that being a slippery slope.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree.
Eventually you'll just get to who needs the developers now, like the AI can handle it, and we're not going to get people who actually care about the story or anything like that. Like, it's just going to be just a generic, like, overall with just the characters painted on it.
I could play devil's advocate too, because AI wouldn't really have the ability to innovate as much. You would need a human being to innovate. I can admit that. But I just feel like when it comes,
want to innovate if the AI can do what they needed to do generically, and then, like you said, there's going to be fanboys who just buy it regardless. But then there isn't really a reason to. Madden doesn't innovate,
right?
And people buy it every year. So
I'm just saying, like, for myself, if like certain games, the way they were released, it was kind of unacceptable, right? But then it's just like, if you go down the list and you start to run into this situation every single time from each developer that we talk about is typically a high-ranking developer now that has this issue. Because if we go down the track record So Call of Duty, Activision is a high-ranking developer. Insomniac was a high-ranking developer, right? CD Projekt Red, a high-ranking developer. Naughty Dog has to put their live service game on ice for a while, right? That's a high-ranking developer. But it's like, if we go down the list, and it's so many of them, and you just simply can't do it. I think you said that probably 10 weeks ago or something. It's just like, maybe they just can't do it.
So
right?
I'm starting to think like maybe they can't, but then I also wonder, like, is it the developer saying we'll be ready at this date and then they can't do it, or is it the investor saying it needs to be ready by this date?
No matter
and
what.
Saying, yeah, and they're like, well, we couldn't do it. Like that's what. Like if it's the developer said it, they're like, yeah, we'll be done in November for sure. And then you get to November and it's like, ugh, like. But
it
then
might
again,
be a
you
little
can also
of both.
argue with the developer they can't get that one pirate game like to work. It's been in development hell forever, so you might have an argument.
It might be a little bit of both. I think it's more leaning towards an investor just wanting their profit by a certain date, no matter what, and then game development just doesn't hit that date, and they're just looking to get the profit and leave regardless, and unfortunately money talks. I think that's the situation. I just feel like I wouldn't be opposed to seeing, because I've heard that they were trying to develop AI to do minor bug fixes, and I would rather that happen than you just leave it because it's considered not that big of an issue to you. You know what I mean? Because I've heard that, and I'm just like, well, it's an issue to me. So, yeah. We'll talk more on it. We'll see. I don't want to be negative. I want to be positive. But Sony is on the screen, or at least God of War is on the screen. Good and bad with Sony, I guess, depending on how we gonna go.
So this game is on the screen, but you know where it might not be?
Where?
On Twitter or on X. So Sony is removing, or they may have removed. Nope, it's this Monday. They're removing.
With the patch update?
Yep, they're going to remove integration to Twitter or X, which is something Microsoft apparently did a while back. I didn't even catch it, but a couple months ago, they removed the X integration as well from the game bar on Windows and from Xbox. And they said part of it was because of a new API pricing structure, which would have cost them like $40,000 a month to keep it. So I wonder if PlayStation is doing the same reason. But now if you want to upload from PlayStation to X, you're going to have to download it to your phone first and upload it. You can't just go directly there.
You know what's funny? Because that's what, when I heard this story, that's the first thing I thought of was like, well, maybe it's because of like YouTube type stuff. Is like, I would want to like make sure it's an exact like 30 seconds that I want or something if I really wanted to show something. And then like we save clips for the podcast all the time. They're usually like 15 to 30 minutes to an hour sometimes. So it's like, I don't know. I would have never really uploaded that to Twitter anyway. But
me and my brother, we did. We have like a Twitter page that we were uploading stuff to. A lot of times it's like, look at this cool thing I did. And we're able to edit it on PlayStation and get it down to like, you know, like a couple seconds and like, boom, I just upload it. So it's like, do I really, how bad, like before where it was just like, oh, this clip was good, like start here, end here, upload. Versus now to be like, edit, add it to my phone, download it to my phone, then re-upload it from my phone. It's like, do I feel like doing it, or do I just want to tell him this happened? Like, so it's kind of, there goes that.
I just think it's kind of interesting because technically everybody who still wants to, they can still do it. It just got a couple extra steps, I guess. But at the same time, Twitter or X, it's kind of burning in a way. And it's weird because it's like you don't know if that was the plan on Elon Musk's side, or we don't really know. It's still a very useful tool for anybody who calls themselves being a content creator. But at the same time, it's like, at what cost? Because we're also hearing they're still trying to like make people buy, like, I guess, accounts or ad free accounts is a thing. It ain't that serious to me. If I prioritize any clip, it was literally for the podcast, which I've been doing this whole time, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It we'll see. I'm always that person who thinks outside the box. And I want to know what happens for the person who just don't update their system. Who's just like, because you need the update in order for it to make that change. It's like, are they gonna force the update? And you can't just keep it that way. Like, what if you got that one diehard person who's like, no, I'm keeping this version that allows me to do it. Are they able to do that?
I don't know. Are there some systems that say like you need to update this like system in order to do this? Like the system needs to update in order to play this game, or like that.
We'll see. We'll see. Probably it's not that serious, but I think out the box sometimes. It's like, what if I'm defiant? What if I'm saying no? That's what I would do. But anyways, I would like to try to be positive with Sony real quick before we go negative again.
Or if it blocks the signal, it might just say error.
Yeah, it might say error. They might stop it. But one thing I wanted to point out, I showed you some pictures. Apparently, it's a double-edged sword a little bit too with this, but apparently now, 3 years into this generation, almost exactly 3 years into, it's weird to say that it's 3 years so far, but I am starting to see some of the systems in the store for the first time where you ain't got to go ask nobody anything. You ain't got to go call nobody ahead of time. It's just literally there. You can just literally run into it. And so I've seen the regular PS5. I've seen the PS5's bundle that has Spiderman in it. And then I've also seen the bundle for Xbox Series X with Forza Horizon 5. And then I've seen the Xbox Series X bundle with Diablo 4. And then regular Xboxes, Series X's, right? And that black Series S. So they are starting to be on the shelf. It's a little bit of a double-edged sword to me because I was like, you wait until after you announce that you're about to get rid of physical media. Some of these places like Walmart to finally put the physical media device in the store. That's just how like I said, I'm trying to stop being negative. But that kind of annoyed me a little bit when I thought about it. But at least it is in the store. Because, like, I remember before I even started the channel, I was like, I want to just be able to just walk into a store, get groceries one day, and then just get the system. I want it to be that convenient. And I kind of predicted it beforehand. I was like, it's going to be that convenient right before the mid-gen, and that's when I'm going to do it. And lo and behold, it is that convenient, but I did it before that. I did it like almost right away. And at the same time, we're seeing like Sony is officially coming out with, like, it's funny because the industry and everybody else is calling it the PS5 Slim. Technically, officially, it's still just the PS5. They don't give it the Slim title. But like if you go to retail stores and stuff, they might label it the PS5 Slim. But if you go directly to Sony and go off of their direct page, they don't label it that way. It's labeled still the PS5. So it depends, I guess. But yeah, we are seeing somewhat of a refresh with the Sony system. At one point there was like a leak of the Series X having like no disc drive, and it was cylinder or whatever, because that was the leak that came out with like the court papers before the Activision deal was complete. I imagine that's going to come at some point. That was going to be an all digital system, but it looks like Sony is still allowing you to have a disc system that's supposed to come out this month. So people should be able to get their hands on it probably before Black Friday, maybe next week, I think. And then on top of that, I think they're still coming out with the PlayStation Portable. Does that thing still have height? Or did people forget about it? How you feel about that? I don't know.
I don't think people forgot, because I saw a post about it like randomly on X the other day, but like I would say, like, I don't think anyone's excited over it. There's no one just like really waiting.
Yeah, but at least hardware is getting in the stores. That was my whole thing for the longest time, because I just felt like it was so absurd that it was just not in the stores at all. But we're starting to see them in the stores. At least they really, in some of the places that I was going to, was stacking a lot of Series X's. Not so much the Black Series S though. I only see like one or two. But at least with also the PS5. Not only that, the PSVR 2. I've seen that a couple times now. It's not just like once in a while. It's like now that's starting to be on the shelf as well. So, if this was me going with my first reaction before, I would my first decision before, I would be just now getting both systems. You know,
I would just now be getting a PS5.
I will be getting them, and what's actually interesting too, because I do think next year, I believe that, or not next year, next generation, I'm probably going to go with my first set of mine and wait 2-3 years to go into that generation. Even if I had a really poppin' channel, I would probably just hang on to the PC side, or maybe even be fully integrated to the PC by the way they've been treating some of their prices and stuff and decision making. But when you look back at it, it's like for certain games, they're just now starting to be polished and ready to go, right? Like Cyberpunk is really getting its resurgence this year with their Phantom Liberty DLC, but that came out in 2020, right? And it was just like such a debacle of a release, right? And then some of the other games that were like buggy or stuff was happening to them like that, like they're now more in a polished state where if you bought the system, there's a nice stack of games you can buy with it. That's like probably 6 or 7 really good games, and they're all polished now because we're 3 years in, you know. Where if you was that person who's like, okay, I'm getting it 2020, right? Or the equivalent for like the PS6 or next Xbox, is like, you're quite literally going to get the games in their first version. They're all going to have something wrong with it. There's all this other stuff going on behind the scenes that we got to hear about. It's like, man, I just want to play the game. You know, I want the complete version. It's like, no, you got to get the first version. We got to wait 6 to 8 months before we start getting DLC for it. It's like, if you bought the PS5 right now, you can get the complete version of Horizon Forbidden West, right? If you bought it in 2021, it's like, well, no, you don't get the complete version. It costs more, and the DLC comes afterwards, and like you get the first version basically, you know, and it's like that for a lot of the other games. Like Returnal is another one. Returnal got its DLC with it, and it got co-op with it like after the fact. But in the very, very beginning, I remember the developers was like, don't play it yet until we get this update. And I was just like, how absurd was that? And so yeah, if I'm still on console the next generation, I think I'm gonna wait like 2-3 years in for sure. Because honestly, the start of this generation on paper, it looks amazing. It looks amazing, but once you get each and every game, it's like, well, you're looking at certain ones a little sideways because they were just released in such a poor state, you know. Sorry, I'm negative again. This might be positive. Sony, I think you mentioned this kinda, but Sony is deciding to go with half of the live service games instead of all of them. I believe I saw the report was saying 6 out of 12. I remember them saying it was 10 altogether at one point, but I guess it was 12. But yeah, I do think that they still should go with whatever they previously announced, and if they're deep in development for. I think they should just go ahead and finish it up. Anything that was early in development, maybe you can turn that back into a regular game. I don't think anything should be trying to like change itself into a single player game like Suicide Squad. I think they should, if you're that far in, you should just release it. So like if these 6 games are like that, I think that's what they should do. I don't think they should do a Suicide Squad thing, because now you're just holding up the developers that are there from doing the stuff that they wanted to do, you know, and instead of like all this other stuff, right? So yeah, I don't know. 6 out of 12. I don't even know what they are. I know Factions is probably one of them. That's probably the highest profile one as of right now. Yeah, I feel like some of the other ones probably came out and we just didn't notice, like Destruction All Stars, for example. I think that one
but I thought their 12 was announced way after that.
Oh yeah, I don't know, maybe I don't know.
Destruction All Stars came out like with the system, basically. It just didn't do good at all.
Yeah, it didn't do good, but I think that was their I think that was their thought process. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong because
Phone Stars.
Yeah, I think that's Square Enix, right? But you know what? I just thought about I'm incorrect when it comes to Destruction All Stars, because originally they tried to charge $70 for that. So that was probably a regular game. But yeah,
no, because it had live service elements.
It had live. Yeah, I didn't really.
You had to buy each person's story mode as well.
Oh, I literally played it like once or twice and was done. By the time it was just like, oh, it's gonna be bots in the game with you, I was just like, and it kind of takes the soul out of it, basically. So I was kind of done. Yeah. So how you feel about this 6 out of 12? Are you going to support one of them? Or are you going to put like $1,000 into one of them at least?
No, so I'm not putting money into any of them. I'll maybe play it if it's something that interests me, but I'm so sick of live service. Like, I feel like you got your good one. You got your shooter live service. Yes. You got your other live service. We don't need more live service. Like, we just don't need it.
Yeah. Well,
there is one live service game that's doing great though. Dead by Daylight.
Oh yeah, right before you get to that, I did. Right before you get to it though, I just want to say one thing. I feel like I did it correctly this time, man. I think I rearranged it correctly because we got Iron Man on the screen, you know what I'm saying? He snapped his fingers in the video game world, killed the live service games. I'm still sticking with that conspiracy theory. I'm still sticking with it, that it started with this game, Marvel Avengers. Yep. And it just spread like wildfire to everything else. I'm sticking with that, but yeah, we could probably move on. Yeah, let's talk your Chucky story real quick, and then we'll circle back.
Yeah, so Dead by Daylight just added Chucky to the game, and I watched the gameplay. So for one, he plays in third person, whereas every other killer is first person.
That's interesting.
For Chucky, you can see him.
It makes sense because he would be like mad short.
Yep. Well, he is short, which he's a little OP. It's hard to flashlight him because he's so short. So like players who are used to like flashlighting have to now aim at the ground. Okay. Second, he moves like relatively quick, but he has these abilities that lets him move like really fast or scamper. He has this one ability where it basically hides his terror radius, so you don't really know exactly where he's at. But apparently the players just hear a bunch of footsteps, like running around like real fast, like they do in movies, where he's like running, it's footsteps, and then he can like speed up and like catch up to the person. And it's the whole picking up the person and carrying them to a hook. It's like a shadow comes in and like holds both the person and Chucky. And then it switches to first person to hook the person. And then you go back to third is Chucky. It seems like fun gameplay. He seems a little overpowered, but in a fun way.
Okay.
And I hope that they do a naughty bear skin for him. So they did one for the Trapper, so it's a giant teddy bear. And I want one for him, so it's like a smaller teddy bear, his size, with the knife. Like, that would be cool. They got Chucky lines in it, but yeah, he looked fun.
Did they get the actor? Did they get him to do the voice?
Yes, they did.
That's what's up. who's left? Like, who is left as far as like they got to get the girl from the ring? Maybe do they got her? They don't got her.
I think they do have her.
They do. Oh my gosh.
What's her name?
Oh my gosh. Who's left then, man? We got to figure this out. Like every scary guy is in there except for maybe Texas Chainsaw, right? Because he got his own one. But hey,
the girl from the ring is called.
See, I just joked that. I didn't even know. Is she actually in it?
Yeah.
So that's a live service game that you support. That's one that's like you like that one.
Sanako Yamamura. She was introduced in chapter 23. She's in there. Yep, 3 girls in there.
That's a very special case too, because it's like you quite literally have to have a game where it's just like all of them in there, and then that's like all these franchises and stuff. Like you can't really have a live service and don't nobody know anybody like that. Like it don't work that way for all of them.
Right now, all that's left really is what, Candyman, and
okay.
They should probably do some originals like in between, just like while we wait for our horror icons to make more.
I would, you know what I would support? I would want to see a game made where it's all these horror guys and everyone else that's probably popular that didn't make it, like Leatherface, for example. But it's like a horror Super Smash Bros. Clone. Like it's that.
That would be funny.
That I would do.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, I would do that. That's what I would like to see. Yeah. All right. Do you want to talk about this, man? Do you want to go, because we jumped away from Sony, but do you want to address Spider-Man 2 in a general way? You want to address
Epic Games first?
I actually don't, and there's a reason for it, and we'll get to it. I actually don't. I think we should do this first, and then it'll be a little bit later, past the middle point. But
well then,
yes.
So I've been playing. I beat Spider-Man 2. I platinumed it. The internet has been upset with certain things. Some of it I think is valid. Some of it I don't. One of the valid ones was the egregious like Adidas product placement, right, where they have fake versions of every store, but there's an Adidas store, and then by the end of the game, Miles is wearing Adidas.
Shout out to Krispy Kreme. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's that. Now, one of the ones that people are upset about that I don't get is Insomniac kind of mentioned that moving forward, Miles is their main Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
If you play the game, without really spoiling anything, but if you play the game, it makes sense. Like the way the story wrapped up, it has now been moved. Like the responsibility has been moved to Miles, but it left it open for Peter to come right back. And if you look at who's probably going to be the villain of the next one, Peter's going to have to come back. Like right away. He's going to be the like big main event. Like, oh, nah, I'm going to handle it and be the strongest one. Like that's the way that it was kind of like set up. So I don't understand why people are like, they're like about this specific announcement. They're so mad so quickly, and they're just like, I won't be him, I won't be Peter. And it reminds me of like, even though the game didn't do too well and it has its rightful criticisms, when Gotham Knights was just first announced, before we knew anything of what it was really going to be gameplay wise, when it was just first announced, it was like Batman is dead. You play as like the Robins and Batgirl, like grown up, and instantly I won't do that. I want to play Batman. And it's like, well, you had Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Origins, Arkham Knight, and then you got this one as the sidekicks. I want to do that, though. I want to be Batman. And it's just like, they go play the other ones. Like, give it a second first. Let's just see what they can do with the story. Like, let's just... And I feel like that's the case here, where, like, the story has been so solid. Like, the main story between 1, Miles Morales, and 2... Let's just see the story for the next one. And then if you have your rightful criticism, then you rightfully criticize it. Why are you so right now? It's just like, I want to do it. I want to be Peter. Like, you get to be Peter. You're Peter right now. You were Peter in the first one. Like, you get to be Peter still. You got Shattered Dimensions, Web of Shadows, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3.
Well, I don't think they're gonna go that far back. Some of them not even born yet to people complaining.
But it's you have all of these, and then here's this one where they just said in the next one the main character's Miles, and you're already just up in arms. It's like relax.
Let me give the people an Easter egg because you mentioned some of them other Spider-Man games.
Yep.
In the future, I do plan on hooking up the Elgato to the Xbox 360 to play some of those and gather the footage. So we will see that sometime next year.
Web of Shadows is one of my favorite Spider-Man games.
But I went back and made sure I bought practically all of them except for the ones that were tied to the movie, The Amazing Spider-Man. But all the original ones I did get. I might actually go ahead and get the Amazing Spider-Man ones too. But
Edge of, so I loved Web of Shadows. I love Shattered Dimensions. Edge of Time was okay. I preferred Shattered Dimensions over Edge of Time.
Shatter was like the first out of that group to play, right? If I remember correctly.
Yes. Shattered Dimensions was like, here's the 4 characters playing. Edge of Time,
it's 4 of them.
Back and forth. Yeah, I really liked it. It was really good. But overall, it's just, that's one of the major where it's just instantly people are already like, well, I'm not playing the third one because Miles is not my Spider-Man. Like, okay, don't play the third. Like, it's to me, this is one of the very few cases, really, of a legacy character done well. But it's like, if you played the game, you're going to realize, like, all right, it's not like Peter's not going to be in there. Like they're not going to do that. Like, so it's weird to me that, like, we want to be already.
I don't think that he's like bad. I just think he's not like, okay, so the way I look at it, if we have some wrestling fans in here, I think Miles Morales, I literally think he is 2015 Roman Reigns, where it looked like, because I remember they were trying to make him, Brock Lesnar was champion. Let's just set the stage. Lesnar wins the belt from John Cena, who had both the World Heavyweight title and the WWE title. It was 2 belts at the time. Brock Lesnar beats him by suplexing him 1,000 times at SummerSlam. And he's the champion. It looks as if nobody can beat him. It also looked like they were setting it up for Roman. And a lot of people felt like it was too soon, including me. Because Roman quite literally never had a singles match yet. Or no, his singles match was, his first ever singles match was that same night against Randy Orton. And then afterwards, he was supposed to have a couple more and then literally face the champion and beat him. Now, it didn't happen because at the last minute, Brock Lesnar re-signed, and then they went ahead and had Seth Rollins like cash in at the WrestleMania, right? So that's the history. But at the same time, Roman at that moment is not the same as the tribal chief. I feel like it's the same thing with Miles, just to the audience, where it was just like, he could probably be that guy if you were able to integrate like a few more generations or something. But like, you could be like a part of the group and y'all like the Spider-Man, the Shield kind of thing, if I make that comparison. But to be the guy, I think it's a little too early for somebody like Miles. I don't think.
But when you play the game, the story will let you know like why it kind of went that way.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that. I think it
becomes more of a case of just like, well, finally Peter gets to take a break. Like, I'm happy. Like, you're more, I'm happy for Peter than you are. Like, yes, finally Miles. Like, I guess the way the story plays out, it's like, finally, like, I'm happy for Peter.
So but I can only speak from the outside in, and I do believe there's a lot of people who are just like kind of, they got like hollow hate to them, like they didn't even get through the game or played it at all, because we know how that is. But I can only say, just from the optics of how it looks for PlayStation, the same kind of thing was echoed with God of War. I told you this before we got on, where it's like it looked for a second like this was about to be Atreus season, and it kind of still is, right? Because there's the rumors of there being a DLC where it's literally you only play him. I think we talked about it.
Water. Yep.
Yeah, last episode or two we talked about it, and I was like, that's literally the one section where everybody said they didn't want to play or didn't like, which echoes the other thing with Spider-Man, because that's what everybody said about the Mary Jane thing, which was a big thing in itself, because I guess the writer, the model looks very similar to the writer, and that made a lot of people say, well, they were trying to force a certain thing in a way. Yep. There's a lot of woke versus anti-woke culture surrounding this.
And we can be real. So a lot of people are arguing, saying that like they're making women models not like attractive.
It's funny because it's like, well, y'all just called that developer ugly, but okay, proceed. Like,
yeah, that's how I felt. That's how I was struggling with my words, because like, dang, I don't know.
Y'all just called her, but I guess it adds up when you start looking at all the other characters and stuff from a variety of different systems, or not systems, but variety of different games. Like, people were saying the same thing about Aloy, right? So that's Horizon.
Like, not making them eye candy in a way.
They were saying the same things about a various amount of like Last of Us Part 2 characters, because it was like 3 girls in there that they said that about. Ellie, Abby was basically The Rock, and then we had like Dina, and she, like, I've seen the picture that people put up where they have like the real actress. I forgot her name. I know it starts with a C, but they will put her body next to the body of her Last of Us 2 character, and you can see how she's like, she doesn't have the full body mode of a woman that you would normally see. And so like there's this narrative that was running around. Aloy, they just said she was ugly. It was kind of it was kind of messed up. They didn't give her a chance at all. They were just like, no. Yeah, and so like I guess
there is that. On top of, there is a whole section in this. Like I said, there was that really boring mission that I didn't care for in this game. They did make Mary Jane super OP in the game.
They did the Last of Us thing with her.
It doesn't make sense. And then there is a whole section, without like really spoiling anything, where Peter just kind of keeps going on an apology spree. And I kind of told you where it comes off as it's like, I get it. I have to save the world. But I know you're really struggling with this article, and I should have paused on that and listened to you, because what you're doing is just as important as what I'm doing. It's like the way it was coming over, it's just like, like that weird validation thing that like, don't do that. Like it's clearly not the same level. Like, I'm sorry he couldn't stay behind for dinner, but if he did, the whole world would have been destroyed, because it's been established that the Avengers ain't there. So like, I don't really. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry that you couldn't. But
it's a strange thing. We don't have to go into too many more details because we don't really want to spoil it for anybody else. But the main thing that I was like, I was looking at it broadly. We mentioned the God of War talk already. Do you think that there's enough ammunition here to knock this game out of the God of War, God of the Year Game of the Year category altogether? Because I know it sounds like at the very least this game is most likely going to win best story by default. I think that might happen. So. Because all the stuff that people are saying that they hate when it comes to like woke culture, that is like celebrated to the nth degree within the industry. That's now, pushed in the nth degree.
If you look at the overarching story of this game, though, like if you remove some of the little minor woke, just look at the overarching story.
Yeah,
it's a really good story. Like somebody who really loves storytelling, but like, you know how I feel about like woke culture stuff. This is to be a very well thought out, well played story overarching. With like little minor things here and there that I'm like, ugh. But I don't think it's enough to remove it from Game of the Year. And I think there are major controversies. They fixed one of them.
Yeah.
The flag. The other issue, the other main issue one, I think is gonna like not make it to a wider audience. And that has to do with the whole things that are allowed and pushed here were removed from the game in certain locations around the world. And it's like, if you're going to stick to something, stick to it. Don't pick and choose. When you're going to stick to it, that's how I feel.
So the game was censored in a certain area overseas for anybody who might be not understand it, but
yeah, for certain things. And it's just like, you punish people for removing it here, but then you remove it, that's fine, and everything, because you're selling it. And it's like, that's not cool. Like, stand by your guns. Like, the stuff being in there doesn't bother me at all. Like, I played through the mission, it was fine, it was cute, I don't care. But
some of the things I was thinking that some of the stuff that would have probably knocked out Hogwarts Legacy, because I remember saying before, I was like, because of the controversy around it, that's probably what's going to take the take it out of the actual Game of the Year. It might still get nominated, but it's not going to win anything. If it wins something, it's going to be really, really quick, because they're just really about their PR. I feel like with Spider-Man, it's almost in the same category in a way, just for so many other reasons. But it's like so many different angles that people are going with this, whether it was the flag situation or some of the situations
involving
like sexist representation, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just because it's strange.
I think there is a difference, though, because when I hear other sources kind of talk about this game, where for Spider-Man, they're like, whoa, this was amazing Game of the Year. Like, this was like one of the best things I've ever played. Whereas for Hogwarts, remember, they were like, a game that was made so great but is marked down by the creator of the series that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, see, that's the funny thing about it, too. I would find that to be a little hypocritical from the industry now if Spider-Man gets more praise than Hogwarts, because the stuff that everybody was mad about Hogwarts about wasn't even in the game. It wasn't even the game's fault. But with Spider-Man, with Spider-Man, though, the stuff that, like, the only issues that I was having initially was just about the bugs. But now, 2-3 weeks later, it's like everybody else is having issues with so many other things that ain't got nothing to do with the bugs. Like, we spent the first half of the show and stuff talking about how AI and stuff, how we need this or may not need it or something, and people getting laid off and stuff. And it's like, usually that's because of the game development. But with this game, it's like there's so many other things that people are upset about. It'll be weird if it wins more than Hogwarts to me, because with Hogwarts, the stuff that people was upset about had nothing to do with the game itself. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see, but I kind of want to put you on blast for a split second, man. I gotta ask you, these two games are in your top 5, Spider-Man and Hogwarts, right? If you had to just choose between the two, which one was the better game?
So if I had to choose between just the two, I would say overall Hogwarts.
Okay.
So Spider-Man had a really solid story, but I think Hogwarts had a solid story. I think Spider-Man's story was like a little bit better and more emotional. However, I also take into consideration the fact that for both being $70, I platinumed Spider-Man in 33 hours. And 50 hours into Hogwarts, and I'm only about halfway into platinuming it. And like, it just felt like a lot more. There was a lot more to get lost in, even though the NPCs were better in Spider-Man. But I think, if I really have to compare the two, I'll have to just give the slight edge to Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay. Do you think the industry gonna do the same?
No,
As
no,
far
it's
as
gonna be
like,
Spider-Man 2. It's gonna be Spider-Man 2. Some of the gameplay was a little more clean, like the action was a little more fun, but I feel like some of the Spider-Man side quests to me were kind of boring. I guess between some of them being kind of like boring or just like, I don't really want to do this, and then the whole Mary Jane mission started off. I don't remember anything in Hogwarts making me feel like that, where I was just like, I don't want to do this. Why am I doing this?
right.
Yeah, I didn't feel that way about a lot of it. So that's where I still have to kind of give the edge to Hogwarts, but I don't think the industry will.
Okay. All right.
Now that's just between those two, but I do think the game of the year is probably going to be Baldur's Gate 3.
It might be. It might be the one game that it doesn't have too much negativity behind it at all. Like I don't think. Like if anything, it was more people saw a story where people was upset that their work was being compared to that game, and people was saying like this game, your game should be just as good as their game, I guess.
Well, my favorite thing was just like, okay, so their game didn't come out with a bunch of bugs and ours did. Why are you getting mad at us? Like that whole thing where I was just like, they released a fixed game, why can't you? That's not fair.
Yeah,
like, it is.
Yeah, it was a weird situation, but yeah, I think they might win for that one because I think at the same time it's a little bit more universally accepted on all the platforms that it's on. It should win. I think it probably should. Because if we're gonna knock out Resident Evil 4 remake because it's a remake, and then if there's issues with like, well, Tears of the Kingdom, I don't think too many people had too much issues with it outside of.
Oh, no.
You know, there's some stragglers out there that call it DLC. I was one of them just for fun, just to annoy some people I know.
DLC, you can almost always argue a lot of sequels DLC, especially if they're continuing a story. But yeah,
but Baldur's Gate 3 is still the third game. It's not
true,
like
but I don't know how much it ties into the other two though. I think each one is standalone. Starfield,
like I said, that one will probably represent Xbox. Even though it's technically a new IP, the hype and everything around it was still based off of Elder Scrolls and Fallout.
Yeah, so, and I also heard that like some people complained about the game. There was some.
Yeah, so
it took a while to get super interesting.
It's almost like there's still a lot of games there. I'm pretty sure something is gonna get snubbed. I wouldn't be surprised if Super Mario Wonder ends up being in the list and possibly winning, because I didn't hear anything bad about it too much. It would be interesting. I do think that overall, as far as from the Nintendo fan base, they would probably give the edge to Zelda Tears of the Kingdom over it.
Okay.
Just because it was such an anticipated game, and it might be one of their biggest games, period, for the Switch.
Yeah. You know what I like?
Yeah.
I like, because we talked about how, like, you know, we always have, like, it was bad news, and I think this is a good news thing. I like the fact that there are about, like, 10, 11 games that you could argue could take the 6-game spot.
Yeah, that's a really good spot.
Be there. Where for, like, last year, I do feel like it was very much like, all right, we got God of War, we got Elden Ring. What else thinks it could be there? Like, that's kind of how it felt.
Yeah, because like, the year before with I think it was It Takes Two. It's funny enough, I think It Takes Two is in this footage, or in this, like, the next footage over, but I don't think we're going to get to it. Like, it looked like they was drawing straws almost.
Yeah. Now, don't get us wrong. It Takes Two was a really fun game. We beat it.
It was.
But it was feeling like they were drawing straws.
It was, but I will say, out of the games that they showed, it was the most unique and creative. And I think that's probably what gave it its edge. But, yeah, it was like anybody's win. It was like a TNA world title match or something. But anyways, a Switch game is on the screen. Tears of the Kingdom, possibly game of the year. You had some Mario Kart.
This is good news. Kinda. It depends on who you are.
Let's talk about it, man.
So in the newest update for Mario Kart, they removed the sandbagging technique. So what some people used to do, and especially an online match, you purposely start off in last place. So there was a whole thing where if the farther back you are, the better power up you get. So it'll be
Mm-hmm.
like you started last place and you're like blue shell, the bullet, and things like that, and then you just like storm your way into first place at the end.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in first place, it's like banana, coin, banana. Like, so people would purposely sandbag and like specifically start last. Well, the newest update removed that, where somebody purposely went to the back and was like green shell. Like, that's all they got. It was like,
So it's more random now? Is actually fair?
It's more random. It's actually, I don't know how much it affects first place people, but
Okay.
there's no guarantee last place gets good stuff.
Yeah, it used to be real, because I used to notice that a little bit. I was like, man, they cheating.
Yep.
And
I
then you
used to just
get,
stay in first
you be
place
a target in first
Yep.
place, you get smacked. Like if you put it on 200cc, you get smacked, and all of a sudden you in sixth
Ooh, buddy.
place, like as if you ain't even
Yep.
do nothing. I'm like, dog, like, okay,
Yep.
okay. Well,
So
that's
that's
good
gone.
news. That's good news to hear. I did see like interesting information regarding the Switch 2. That I could probably put this in the topic. It's not really a big topic, but apparently I'm a little concerned about this, but apparently the developers reportedly do not get or they have not given them like a dev kit. They're just like, they're kind of oblivious to the actual power of what the Switch 2 is going to be. They're keeping that thing very secret.
Do you think Nintendo also doesn't know the power of the Switch 2?
I would hope that they know the power of the Switch 2. I think so. This is still probably one of those things where you might be saying this is impossible, but I really wish that it's just as powerful as that new system that came out, the Lenovo Legion Go. Because honestly, that if you look at the specs and stuff, that technically is the Switch 2. Like that kind of is, without being this.
And the
like,
Lenovo is 1440, right? Handheld.
Yeah, that one. So we're gonna get into that in a second, but yeah, what makes that one slightly above Edge is it also can go up to 1440p, and then it also has the ability to go up to 144 hertz. So it almost took the wind out of the ROG Ally, but I assure people I'm not about to buy a third one. But basically, I wish that could have been the Switch 2. I know it would be way more praised if it was. Like, so many people would be on the bandwagon if that was the Switch 2. But what I'm saying is that the Switch 2 can't afford to come out, you know, a little bit less powerful than any of these other handhelds, because now you're getting like 3 or 4 of them that still on paper, even though, or they're not supposed to be on paper, but they will have the ability to play your games. So you want to make sure your system is playing your games the best. That's all I'm just asking. Now I don't think the Switch 2 is going to have 144 hertz, but I do think they need to definitely find a way to push for 120. Like, it's probably seems like it's impossible, and I know at the same time people in the Switch's fan base don't even ask for that, and I understand that. It just will come off a little bit weird if you come out with a system and you quite literally had the ability or the chance to be king of the handhelds again, and then you just didn't. Like, you were king. It reminds me of Nicki Minaj in the hip hop world. At one point, there were just no girls, right? And the next thing you know, there's girls everywhere that's in the hip hop world. And it's like, well, she's still considered like one of the top girls in the hip hop world, but she shares that spot now, right, with a bunch of other girls. That's probably what you're going to see with the Switch.
You know what though? You say it's impossible, but why? Like, if Lenovo can do it, right? Like, Lenovo can do it, and they're worth like 8 billion, but like Nintendo's worth like 14 trillion. You can do it. Like, you can. If they're. It's not like we're wishing for something that doesn't exist. You're wishing for it to be as powerful as something that exists.
Yeah, it seems like everybody else is almost like they're finding ways to charge you more, where it looks like the Switch is or Nintendo is trying to find ways to cut costs on the hardware side for them, but still charge you more. Yep. It's like, you might as well have gave us a better product then. Because like at one point, the was kind of, if you ignore the Elite controllers, the Joy-Cons was the most expensive controllers at one point. And it was just like, the most flimsy, the most
standard controllers they are, and they're known to have drift.
we call it Joy-Con drift. We don't call it Dual Shock or Dual Sense drift. Even when it happens with another controller, like a Xbox or PlayStation controller, you still call it Joy-Con drift. That's like the term, and it's like, that's Nintendo's fault. But yeah, I want to see that thing powerful, and if everybody else is charging all this extra money, and then they're still coming out with these like special edition OLEDs that they're like a little bit more, and it looks like you're getting very close to that $400 mark. Just come out with a better system if you're going to charge that much. Do not come out with something that's like, can you imagine if they come out with something that is not as powerful as the Steam Deck, and they just do it boldly? Like, well, we'll just let our lawyers do everything. It's like, you don't even have to pay your lawyers no more. Nobody would do all the bad stuff if your system worked. Quite literally, like the handheld market, I think the handheld market would stop. I think like the Lenovo would probably be the last one if the Switch comes out and it comes out correct, the Switch 2. Yeah. If it doesn't come out correct, more and more companies are going to keep coming out with the handhelds, because to them, they're just like, they're basically giving you a product instead of just giving you a laptop, basically. They're taking the specs of all the stuff, and instead of putting it in a laptop, they put it here, and it goes from being invisible to being like one of the handhelds, right? I think the market is already a little oversaturated with handhelds. Quite literally, PlayStation is going to come out with theirs this month in a few days. And then you have 3 main PC handhelds that everybody acknowledges. Then you have the Logitech stream only handheld as well. You haven't forgot about that one. And then technically the Switch 2. That's a lot.
Yeah, the Playdate.
Yes, we're gonna get to the Playdate too. All right, after our over the halfway point part, so let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll get to all the other stuff. So at the halfway point, usually I do the unofficial sponsor. The unofficial sponsor is typically Epic Games, where I just tell the people about, games that they can get for free, typically coming from the Epic platform. And to remind you, you do not need a credit card to start your actual profile. You just need to create a profile. Once you create the profile, you can start claiming all the games. And when you do get your PC, if you don't have a PC, you can log in and you can see all your library. So the first one is from now to November 16th as of this recording. From now to November 16th, you can claim the game called Golden Light. I apologize for not doing any research on these games. I'm gonna start doing research on the games, at least like having like a synopsis of like each and every one. Sometimes I know when it's like that one game that I think it was Solstice, because that was a game I was following on the indie side. But I don't really know. Just go claim it. It's free, and then you guys can like figure it out on your own. So from now to the 16th, it was Golden Light. From the 16th to the 23rd, it's a game called Earthlock that's going to be free, and then a game called Surviving the Aftermath. I don't know what that's about, but Surviving the Aftermath. That's also going to be free from November 16th to the 23rd. So they're going to give you 2 games next week, which is cool. The cool thing about this time, though, I don't really have too many free stuff, or sales, I should say. I don't have any sales really for you, but I will say from my own like list of Black Friday stuff that I have already purchased. The main games I already got so far because of deals that have been happening. What I can say is go check Best Buy and go check I believe it was Amazon and Target, because they're doing these like buy two get one free sale, and they're even doing it for the higher up games, the stuff that are like $60-$70. But I took advantage of it for some of the smaller stuff. When I do my Black Friday video, I'm going to mention these games, games that I got right before, but I'll mention it right now because I got them right here next to me. One of them was Stranger of Paradise, the Final Fantasy origin story. This was like their Final Fantasy Sales game, if anybody remember that, where the main character literally looks like the Lannister dude from Game of Thrones to me. Like, I swear to you, he's the exact same person. But yeah, that was one of the games that I got. Another game that I got was called Daymare 1994 Sandcastles. This was the second game in the series of the Daymare series. If anybody knows, that's the developers who were making basically a Resident Evil remake clone, and then Capcom brought them in. They didn't like cease and desist them. They brought them in and showed them how to do it correctly, sent them on their way, and they came back with their own series of a game, basically, right? Something you'll never hear Nintendo do. But they did that at Capcom. Shout out to Capcom. So now we got this other series if you want to keep playing those Resident Evil remake games, right? I bought that. I bought, this is a high game on my list for Black Friday. That was Gotham Knights. I think it was mentioned a bunch of times already this podcast. I got that one for as low as $10 actually. Brand new, and it was with Just Cause 3 was the other game that's not new at all, but it was what happened was like GameStop had this thing where it was like you can get $5 off of your order if you spend over 15 and go pick it up in the store. Epic does something similar, but it's just like all digital, where it's like every now and then they give you that $5 thing at the end of the year. That's why I say go ahead and make your profile. They'll give you money off of a game as well. But they did that. The Xbox version of Gotham Knights just so happened to be $12, and it was not 15, and I needed to find something. And so I actually had Just Cause 4 under PS Plus, but didn't play the Just Cause series at all. And so I found Just Cause 3 for $3 and added it to the list, and it just so happened to be in my GameStop store. And so that brought it to 15, then it applied the -5, which brought it back down to 10. So I got both of those games for 10, which included, Gotham Knights. And then the last one that I got was Tachia, which was the little black girl that you play as in that Breath of the Wild clone looking game. Yep. So I got that physical and everything but Gotham Knights. The other games I got was in the buy two get one free sale under Target. So there's still a lot of games under there that was like $20 each, and that's how I got those. And so yeah, a lot of those deals is out there. Definitely go take a look. And then GameStop also has their thing with their membership, because I actually did that and did not use the membership. If I used the membership thing, it would have took another $5 off. But I'm saving that for Black Friday itself, because I think there's going to be more games that's going to get mentioned soon that's going to be like a lower price, basically, because they haven't come out with their list yet. Like typically around this time, you'll get a list of like, here's a bunch of games that's going to be this price at this store. And that's when I go and get them all. But yeah, so definitely check out all of that. And this kind of leads me into my next thing, because that's why I didn't want to talk about some of the other stuff yet. The Switch talk was actually supposed to happen now, but that's okay, because it's going to lead into what we were talking about with the Lenovo and some of the other systems. But somebody decided to make an OLED system, and it wasn't the Switch. Apparently, the Steam Deck decided to come out with their own OLED version of their Steam Deck, and it probably seems a little silly. Do you know? Let me tell you, I had some fanboys try to come at me because of this, and tried to like come at me and be like, now I'm salty and having buyer's remorse because I wasted my money on it, because they were trying to hate because I would tease that I'm playing all their new latest Nintendo games on my Steam Deck, and I literally haven't done it yet. But so they did this. They came out with this OLED model, and I'm not mad at it at all. I don't feel like I lost money. Like, if I don't know if anybody really knows this, I actually bought the Steam Deck second. I bought the ROG Ally first, so I went into it knowing that the Steam Deck was not going to be as powerful as the ROG Ally. So I know I did not lose money. I don't feel bad about this. Another thing too, I never bought the Switch OLED. I just have the regular Switch. For anybody who has the regular Switch and you don't have the Switch OLED, if somebody asks you why didn't you buy the Switch OLED, what would you say? You would say because I have the Switch. So right. Why am I not going to buy the Steam Deck OLED? Well, because I have the Steam Deck. Right. So it's not going to bother me at all. I just thought it was silly because they were trying, bro. They were trying. I'll tell you more about it off air. But they was trying. It's still good for some people. I'm gonna go into some of the details of it in a second, but honestly, I don't like OLEDs, and the reason is because of the burnout. And I don't know if I told you this, but the TV that I play on while we play is OLED, and it's already burnt out. Or not, like, so you could turn it on, but it has burn in. That's what I mean. It has burn in. You can see the burn in when the TV's off, but when you turn the TV on and turn the game on, like, you don't see it anymore, and then you it's like invisible to you, basically. You can still just play. So as long as the TV's still working, I'm gonna still use it, right? I don't feel the need to replace it. But because of that, and also because I had the Switch, I didn't feel the need to get the Switch OLED. And then, the same kind of mentality is here for the Steam Deck OLED. Typically, when I talk about the Epic games, I'll always recommend the ROG Ally ever since I got it. Even with the Steam Deck's new specs, I still recommend the ROG Ally as of right now. It would be weird if the ROG Ally all of a sudden came out with an OLED and then the Lenovo does the same. I was like, all right, what are y'all doing? But I think maybe I might have your opinion on this. Before we get into the specs of the Steam Deck, I think the Steam Deck needs to stop focusing on trying to be the piracy Nintendo machine and focus on being its own brand, because it has like the potential to really still be the handheld for the PC market, despite other machines being more powerful, because it has a certain name value behind it, which is Steam. And there's a very loyal fan base there on the PC side that could care less about any free Epic game because if it's not on Steam, they don't care, which is so strange to me, because I'm like, well, this stuff is free. I didn't even tell you to pay for it. But I don't think that, because I'm gonna be honest, I think this is still a play on the OLED with the Switch. I think they're still doing the same thing, because they even have one of their editions being a limited edition one, which has the translucent thing, which is very similar to the Game Boy and the N64. That's known for being a Nintendo thing. And one of the Steam Decks is limited edition with the same thing. And it's just like is this necessary? I think it's two things that's happening. I think because all these other systems is coming out, and they probably know about some more that we don't really know about yet, just because they might have some insiders. and they probably just wanted to have the Steam Deck name back out there again so people would stop forgetting about it, you know, if they were forgetting about it. And then at the same time, they're just trying to do like Switch type like parody in a way, which I think is like they don't need to do that anymore. Like that was the initial like promotion of the Steam Deck, and I don't know if they're trying to get revenge or something. Like they probably had this in the works before that Dolphin emulator story happened, right? I don't think that it was like, okay, we can't use the emulator, all right, well, we gonna make an OLED just to spite you. Like I don't think it happened. I don't think it works that way, because it's like there's a lot of money that would have came into developing this, you know. But I think that they came out with the OLED simply because of the Switch. Do you think that, or what do you think about this?
I feel like they just came out with an OLED because not really the Switch, but more the ROG.
The ROG?
Yeah, because I feel like, yeah, they were considered like, you know, a Switch like sort of competitor, but I don't think anybody was like, well, why should I get the Steam Deck because I could get a Switch OLED? Like, I don't think that was the case, but it was kind of a case of I have to decide between the Steam Deck or the ROG, or maybe even the Lenovo, or for the Lenovo downstairs. But it's like, well, I should probably get the ROG, so they're trying to make the Steam Deck like, if you're really playing Steam, this is where you want to play it. Which I also agree with you is why that's where they should focus it. I don't think it has to do with Nintendo itself.
Okay.
Because I feel like if you were really combating Nintendo, like you wouldn't do OLED. You just make sure yours could do like output better.
Yeah.
Right, which I think get it already. Isn't it like 1080 handheld?
So the Steam Deck can only do up to 720.
Okay.
The
So they would
ROG
probably focus on that instead to be like, haha, to your Nintendo, like we can output better. So I feel like the OLED is their short-term thing to try and like make it a little more appealing, like the ROG.
So initially the promotion was the Steam Deck is the Switch Pro we never got. Because before we were talking Switch 2, we were talking Switch Pro. And everybody was like calling it like it's going to be so good that it basically was going to be the Switch 2. And then they were just like, here it is. It's a OLED. And then like 2 weeks later or something, it was like, here's the Steam Deck, and everybody just hopped on it, right? It just blew up overnight. And I think if the Switch at that moment came out with a proper Pro, the Steam Deck probably would not have gotten that much praise outside of hardcore PC people, right? I mentioned before that I'm not worried about the Steam Deck OLED because I bought the ROG Ally first and the Steam Deck second, so I don't feel like I had a waste of money. I knew what I was doing, right? There was a tiny bit of it, I will admit, where I felt a little bit of that when the Lenovo was announced. Because the specs, because I didn't get a chance to have the ROG Ally that long, and the Lenovo device mimics the Switch, right? It mimics the Switch. That was what everybody knows it for. But its specs, it goes up to 1440p. It doesn't do 1440p at the same time as for like 144 hertz, but it has the ability to do the most fidelity at 1440p, and then the hertz at 144 hertz. The ROG Ally goes up to 1080p, and then it does 120 hertz, right? And it was just like, okay, I quite literally only had this thing since the summer. Right. And then it was like, bam, here's another one. And it's like the same price as all the other ones, right? And I was just like I didn't get a chance. Maybe you could call it a fanboy moment. Maybe it was a fanboy thing. You know how fanboys want to like say, this is my system, blah, 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 blah. I was acting that way about the ROG for a while. I was like, I got the top of the line PC handheld. Even yeah, because even now, like I can also report, because I don't know if I reported this. I did report this to you off air. My ROG Ally does everything the PlayStation Portable does, which was simply just stream my system. So I quite literally made the PlayStation Portable useless to me because I integrated some extra apps and tested them out, and I have the PS5 on my handheld now, right? That was a bragging point. Now, yes, the Logitech device could probably do it as well. It was designed to do it as well. But that was a bragging point. I thought I was doing something. I'm like, yeah, I'm already doing what this other system is trying to do or whatever, and I don't even have to buy that, right? And then next thing you know, the Lenovo, like when you take the two joysticks off of it, it has like a very unique like button layout behind it that I thought was so interesting that there was a tiny part of me that was considering getting it, and I was just like, I'm not gonna do it. And I'm still leaning more towards no. I'm like 95% no, 5% yes, because it's like at the same time, I don't want to be in a habit of, okay, now I'm starting to buy a bunch of handhelds that literally do the same thing simply because of like the tiniest detail different. Because now I'm doing what I said I wasn't going to do in the PC market, where it's just like, okay, the second a graphics card comes out, I'm getting another graphics card. The second more RAM comes out, I'm trying to upgrade the RAM. It was like, I just want it to be at its best at that one moment, and then I don't do it no more, right? But yeah, I'll be honest. I had moments where I was looking at the Lenovo like, man, that still looks like a good enough system, and I know I can afford it. But it's just like, now you have a third thing in here, and still, even though I have the other two, I don't play AAA games on there. I still think the AAA games are meant for bigger, widescreen, soundboard or soundbar, and like sit down in a theater experience or sit in a couch experience. I'm still a console player at heart, but all these new indie games, oh boy, I'm on these handhelds with them for sure. But yeah, it's too many devices. I think somebody else is gonna come out with something. It might be Dell, it might be Huey Patton, it might even be Apple. I think Apple's phone is already doing things because wasn't it Resident Evil 4 remake that's like now fully playable on the new Apple iPhones or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but let's wrap this back up. So the Steam Deck itself, the OLED, there are some things about it that does make it slightly better than the original. First of all, you're probably going to get 25% more battery life. If you are still trying to play big AAA games, that just means you're going to get about 45 minutes more of gameplay. It's really not that much more. Yeah. But it is a better battery life. What's funny is I remember when they did like the second version of the original Switch. It was like the only thing that was different was that like all of a sudden the battery was like 50% better, if I remember correctly. But if you were somebody who got the OG Switch, your battery didn't have that 50% boost. I don't know how many people upgraded because of that, but that was before the OLED. But the original Switch was the one that was hackable, and that's how everybody's getting all these games and putting them on PC. So apples and oranges, I guess. But the frame rate on the Switch or on the Steam Deck OLED is slightly better as well. You're looking at maybe up to 4 frames per second more. Not that much more, but about 4 frames better on average if you played the same game on the regular Steam Deck. The speaker's a little bit louder. The Steam Deck itself is actually a little bit lighter. It's not as heavy. It charges faster. And because of all of these different things, people are counting this as a mid-gen refresh for the handheld itself. Seems kind of odd, but at the same time, quite literally, we're getting another PlayStation, right? And another Series X at some point. So maybe this could be considered the Steam Deck refresh. We can call it that, I guess. But anybody in the market for a handheld, right now is actually the time to get it up until Black Friday. The ROG Ally has been marked down $100. The original Steam Deck, all of them are all marked down $100 as well, where I believe the base model is like, I think in the upper $300 range now. The one that was quite literally the Switch Pro is what people was calling it, the Switch Pro that you didn't get. You can get that for like, I think it was $350 or $375. Go take a look if you really are interested. But the Steam Deck OLED, the base model has 250 gigs in it, where I believe the original Steam Deck, the cheapest one, has 64 gigs. It was quite literally just a Switch like replacement, or Switch Pro replacement. But now you get some real space in it. The highest end model has a full terabyte in it. But the key thing is, like, I don't think the Lenovo is going to be on sale, but if you're in the market for either one of these Steam Decks or the ROG Ally, the highest level, all of them are all marked down right now. The original Steam Deck, I think, is going to have a permanent markdown, where the OLED model is around the same price as what the Steam Deck was. So if you didn't buy it yet, you can get the better model version for the same price. Anybody out there, I bet somebody who probably bought this like a month ago, maybe they're salty. I could see you being salty if you bought the Steam Deck a month ago and you was on the fence for the longest, and then you finally got in there. It was like, bam, here's the OLED. But I don't think the OLED model is that much better overall because of one thing, which is just the burn-in. I think when we start talking about the systems being a little bit more retro, those OLED models are probably going to be on average like burnt in. I think so. And I'm talking biasly because of my TV. Like, we ain't seen it with the OLED for the Switch yet, but that's still relatively new. But once these systems start to get into like PlayStation Vita territory, 3DS territory, I don't think them screens gonna look that good. I think you might want to go for the non-OLED versions, but that's just me. That's just my opinion. Maybe you might want the OLED version. Technically, with one of these kind of handhelds, the OLED models do look better right now. But I'm still a console player at heart, so I still would hook these up to the TV. Like, I got the dock for both of them. I would still hook them up to the TV sometime, you know. You haven't bought any of these systems yet. Is any of this looking better to you? Or do you think you might consider this OLED over the ROG now? Or do you think you might want the Lenovo? What are you thinking?
I do think it'll be between the Lenovo or the ROG. Nothing against the Steam Deck. It's just, I know it takes extra steps to get like epic games on there. That like it feels like less of a hassle if I just go for the other ones, and like getting this, I'm gonna be playing Epic games and Steam games, so I'd rather go with the one that's easiest for integration, right? Because like for me, if they're all like, if I can play 1080 on like all like, you know, a lot of them, when it push comes to shove, the specs are gonna be very similar to each other. So I just want the one that's gonna have the easiest setup at this point. So I don't want to have to like dive through all these backwards like stuff just to get things uploaded. So it'd probably be between the other two.
Okay. I just know as of right now, for anybody out there, the Lenovo is still going to be full price. I believe that's like $650. The ROG at full price, I believe, was like $699. But right now, the ROG is on sale for $599. That's gonna stay until Black Friday, and it might go to Christmas, but I expect it at least to be until Black Friday. The Steam Deck prices. So the Steam Deck still has like 3 different model points based on the SSD size on the system. And also for the non ones, it was like one of them was not an SSD. One of them only had like 64 gigs of just flash memory. The cheapest one. But technically you can get, a handheld from the Steam Deck side for as low as like 380 or something like that. It was like 375 or 380, something like that, all the way up to like 600 on the highest end model for the OLEDs. So yeah, there's a whole bunch there for them. I do think that integration or just adapting to a better model is still good. I don't think it was too soon, because it's not like it's a full Steam Deck 2. It's just simply an OLED. They did mention that they are still working on a part 2 as well. That is supposed to be more of a next-gen OLED or a next-gen system for them. So I don't think you're going to see it for a while. They use the term next-gen, and it sounds like it's like 2 to 3 or 4 years down the line. So you can still feel safe with getting one of the regular Steam Decks right now. I do still believe somebody else is going to enter this market, and it is already oversaturated. It's going to get even more oversaturated. But I like to look at it like it's just the laptop model. Like if we look at laptops, it's like, okay, now you're just back in the regular PC market and there's laptops everywhere, right? It's like, but once they put that tech into a handheld, that's when it becomes more relevant, and it's like got some more significance to it, right? But yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be Dell or Huey Patton. Somebody else is gonna do it. But I will refrain from buying the next one. I will most likely get like a VR2 headset before I get like a Lenovo. I think it would be more beneficial for me to put the money in a gaming area that I don't have any access to versus a third PC, even though I'm going to get an actual tower. It would seem silly. So I'm not going to do that. But the Lenovo looks nice. It does. All right, we can move on. Somehow this podcast is still long. I got to mention there's a couple more topics that I actually have, but they're going to go quick. Shout out to your boys over there, because there's another handheld like you mentioned. Your boys, the Playdate. Did you see the Playdate Direct, sir?
I did not watch the
Why
Playdate.
did you ignore it again? See, my co-host is hating on the Playdate. He don't want to watch it. He don't want to give them no credit, yet? No, not yet. We gotta wait for the Playdate OLED to get the code. Okay. Once they get their OLED model, then you get the color. But listen, it didn't stop them from dropping even more exclusives, man. They got more exclusives. They drop exclusives every month. All this talk about AI helping with development, I don't hear nobody getting fired. I don't hear none of that over here. Like they got it. They whatever we trying to achieve in gaming, Playdate has achieved it, man.
So which game are you trying to get on the Playdate?
All right, listen, we ain't gotta talk about me. We just gotta tell the people.
So you don't even remember.
Listen, man. The Playdate is a staple in gaming. It would be interesting to see if they get a price cut for Black Friday. I didn't even think about it until like literally right now. We will see. But I'm the only channel. Name me another channel that keeps up with the Playdate. I'll wait. Nobody. That's right. It's just me. We keeping the Playdate's name in our mouth over here. Pause. The Playdate's got even more exclusives. There's more going on. All right. The last thing that I would demand from the Playdate, yes, they do need more color games, but I think they can easily get away with making more colors of the Playdate itself, because right now it's just yellow. maybe if you get a blue one or a red one or a black one, maybe a multicolor, like make it like really nice. Maybe you might attract a couple more people. You know, I think maybe that might help. excuse me. But yeah, man, the Playdate is still here. They still have people developing for this system, and hundreds and hundreds of games now. I think there might be over 500 exclusives. The most exclusives to a system to date. There's no denying. There's no denying.
That's awesome. You're right. They have the most exclusives. Nobody else is playing Playdate games.
They got the most exclusives, man.
No Playdate. Get one and play one. Let me know how it is. Use the crank.
Listen, I'll let it be known right now that I am requesting a review copy. Yes, I would like for y'all to give me a Playdate so I can promote that bad boy to the masses, man. Because y'all know. Y'all know.
I'll take a review copy for sure.
Yeah, man, I want a review copy of this thing. I want a review copy of every exclusive too. I want all of it. I'm gonna review every last one and all the future ones. Yeah, man, the Playdate is still here. I think the Playdate, they I don't know how much it probably cost them to get color. They're probably one move away from getting the eyes of everybody else once they do. But some of their stuff in black and white does look kind of good. Because it's not like Game and Watch, like it has fluidity there. It's like it's still like as you crank forward or back, they're still moving with like some frame rate to it. Like it's not like it's like it got some frame rate there. They got some 30 or 60 frames per second going on with the cranks. So
right.
you know, so they moving in motion. It's interesting. So if they can pull it off with the color, I don't know how much it's going to cost them. I don't know. But that system, I have to give them their props also because they're not really backed by big investors and stuff. That's like a collector. That's a collection of developers coming together to produce something for themselves. And it's very, very, very unique gaming ideas. It's just unfortunately like the masses ain't really behind it. It would be interesting if like they all of a sudden, like let's say this might become a Xbox acquisition. It would be an interesting thing to see if that was to happen. Maybe that might get them the eyes that they need. Because right now it's like quite literally an acquired taste in gaming. But
so
they are here though.
Nintendo would have the Switch, PlayStation would have a handheld controller basically, and Xbox would have the Playdate.
I like, even if they, let's say they required them, I don't even know if I would put them in that category. It would just be like they would just be a thing that they have. Like I don't even know if there's no way you could incorporate that into Game Pass, even though it would make sense because it's like 400 plus exclusives. But like they would just have them there. Like it would just be.
You could if the Playdate had its own Game Pass.
Yeah, Playdate having a Game Pass would be interesting. It probably needs it because it's too much to really think about. Like it would be a lot of work for a consumer to like try to understand the games and like try to develop anticipation for one of them. It would be kind of hard to do that because there's too many to think about. It reminds me of like they are starting to get on the level. I remember before I criticized them because they didn't have as many games yet, but like I quickly compared them to the emulation devices, right? I compared them to the emulation devices that had like a variety of different platforms within it, fully in color, and there was a lot of hidden gems, a lot of classics, like full libraries now, right? With like, if you blink, Playdate's adding another 20 games. Blink, here's another one. another one, like just quite literally like 10 to 15 per month. They're updating more games to their platform than Nintendo is doing to their online like legacy stuff, basically. So at some point, because right now they're just like they're on the corner of a little like YouTube channel where that's their only like plug, that and then their social media, and then that's kind of it. And it's just like you have to really be like an enthusiast or something to like care. But yeah, they're there. I'm still rooting for them. Maybe I might consider getting one. I'm not itching to buy something. The only other problem though is that the Playdate itself, because it's so niche and it's not backed by a major publisher, if you ordered it, you wouldn't get it right away. It takes a couple months for them to like, I guess, manufacture it or something. It's a little bit similar to the Megazord, which I don't know if I mentioned to you, but that's been pushed back to December now. The one that was supposed to come out in August. Oh, the wow. $450 one. So we still can't do the Megazord episode. It'll be interesting. Like, is this a scam or not? I don't know. But they not. I'm kind of happy I didn't, spend Lenovo money on that, and they pushed it back.
Like 7 months to get King's or the Tyranno's Victory, so.
But that wasn't $450. Like, this thing is $450. And it was supposed to come out in August, and it's being pushed back to December now.
Also, for $450, you better send it right. Don't send me the messed up one.
They definitely got to get their stuff in order. But yeah, so we'll see. But basically, the Playdate, I think there's like a few months delay. It looked like it was almost half a year. I don't know if it's still like that, but you can't get it in like 2 weeks, basically. So that's another thing. It's definitely not going to be in stores, which is another bummer as well. But it's still a very unique project. I'm glad that the Playdate is just the Playdate and it's not being oversaturated the way the PC handheld gaming market is. Because I couldn't imagine somebody else coming out with like some sort of Bop It type thing, and then they got like 50,000 games on their thing as well. It's like there's no way you could just. It's too oversaturated. It's like we have to have some level of consolidation. I know people don't want to see too many acquisitions, but at the same time, this is the opposite, where it's like, okay, they're not on your system, but they got their own system now. So it's like, it's not that this is on your system. It's like, no, they created their own system. So that's the issue that we're having. But we'll see. We'll see how the industry goes. The very last thing was more of like an announcement thing, but we found out that Rockstar Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming, and Rockstar is going to release a trailer sometime in December. They didn't say exactly when, but we know there will be an official Grand Theft Auto trailer in December, man. You know what's funny?
What's up?
I don't think anybody mentioned this, but if that's going to be the first trailer, it's quite possible it might just be a teaser, and you just get a graphic of the of the actual like logo, and you just get to see what the new logo looks like, which probably is going to be it's Rockstar. Because they said it like that, and I'm like, usually the first showing is always the teaser trailer, which is like a logo, maybe like one line from somebody's voice. And then that's it. Like, I don't think you're going to get a full-fledged trailer where they have a release date and it's like, bam. But if it does, then it will probably come holiday season next year, November or December, which would be like instantly like one of the top games of the year. And
Dog, if it's announced for next, they need to announce so other games know not to announce for them. I would hate for me to announce, like, if I made a game and it's like, yo, it's coming out like November 2nd, and then like 2 days later, Grand Theft Auto 6 is like November 3rd.
Yeah.
Like, I would be so upset.
It still would be it would be hard for any game to really come out around that time anyway. Because if you look at this year right now, September and October especially was very oversaturated. And there's only so many spots because anybody who has an investor behind them, they want their game to be out during the holiday season, but right before Christmas, right? Which is like right now. And that's why you saw so many games come out in October and stuff. And so it's like Grand Theft Auto would still come out, but like if everybody's putting investor money behind it, they're going to force the game to come out around that time, even though they're not going to make their money. But like it would be kind of weird if it's just like, okay, here's the holiday season and then the only thing out is Grand Theft Auto on Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't think we're going to see that either, but it is going to probably be the highest selling game. Only the biggest games is going to come out around that time with it, which is all the sports and Call of Duty. But I really do think it's going to be just a teaser. It's going to be like, you're going to have like a quick, like, you're going to hear the new music, which is still going to have like some of the same similar tunes to some of the other games. And then you're going to see a pan out of the world very similar to like Breath of the Wild and Sonic Frontier. But the graphics is going to come up, it's going to say GTA 6 is going to have the same kind of look as some of the other ones. Because they all have that grid looking thing. And it's just going to have the 5 and the 1 on the other side. It's going to be the 4 and the opposite.
They going to drop it online or are they going to drop it at the game show? Because I heard Rockstar doesn't really do game show stuff, and I doubt Jeff Keighley was able to convince them to like, yeah, let it debut at my show. So I imagine it's going to drop it online one day. But
if it is, it will be at the game show, and that would be one of the biggest things. It might even overshadow the Game of the Year winner because of how big GTA is.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly, I think at the Game Awards, that would be the best place to do it. Even though Grand Theft Auto is so big that they could just drop it on their own like YouTube channel and that's it. I do think just for the marketing and everything, it would look good for Jeff Keighley, obviously, but it might be the best move for them just for December, because the only thing in December is the Game Awards. And so if it's not there, it will probably still be online. I think it will be the Game Awards, but I think it's going to be a teaser. It's going to be really late in the show. And then that's going to be it. And then the internet is going to all do their YouTube face and be like, oh my God. But I think this would be in my top 5 for next year. Black Myth Wukong is already there because it was here for this year, but they announced it to be for next year. I don't really have anything else for next year yet. Maybe Wolverine I could think of. And
that's the game I'm thinking
of. I want to say Hellblade 2, but I didn't play Hellblade 1 yet. So I got to play Hellblade 1 before. Even though I'm very much anticipating Hellblade 2 because I think it looks amazing. But yeah, I'll figure it out. I don't know what my top 5 is. I only know like 2 or 3. I don't know how early in development it is, but the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game, that's the Rise of the Ronin, that's supposed to be God of War combat. Yeah, like that one probably might be up there. I gotta go educate myself on the comics and stuff because I didn't read that storyline. I just kind of know that 3 of them died. That's all I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the show, man. One of our longest ones ever. It was supposed to be an hour. I blame you. But anything else you got?
You went on.
Anything else, man?
I ain't got nothing else to say.
All right. He ain't got nothing else to say. Everybody enjoy the start of the holiday season in a couple of weeks. Keep an eye out on all of your favorite platforms you buy games on because the sales are coming everywhere. Not only just in retail, keep an eye out on Epic and Steam to get a lot of those indie games that I show off. I'm gonna start showing off a lot more. I'm already working on those videos. So you will be seeing more of those. But a lot of those kind of games are mad cheap. Hardly any of them are above $20 anymore. Only like like the best of the best was still above $20. A lot of them are like in the teens and under $10. So check them out. And that's all I got for you here. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. I will catch you next week. Peace.